Hi everybody. Today we have a talk with my dear friend Vasco Pizaro from Portugal. I'll just add him up. And hi Vasco.
Hi Sandeep, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
So how we're in difficult times. How's Portugal now?
Yeah, me personally, I'm at home on a voluntary quarantine for 3 weeks now. Yeah, because I have a history of asthma when I was young, so it's what they call a group risk, so they advise to stay at home. Um, in terms of our company, we already decided about 2 weeks ago, in order to protect our workers, to stop the activity for now. Um, Portugal is adapting in terms of industry, because they have not yet closed all non-essential activities in terms of industry. So a lot of textile companies are adapting itself to producing masks and protective gear for medicine. In our case, we don't have that expertise, so our contribution, because we have a large number of people, we have about 400 people in our factory, so our contribution was to try and stop spreading the virus, was to send people home, trying to contain. We didn't have any case, fortunately, and in a measure of prevent this, we installed the layoff system this month, so everybody is covered, everybody has his salary, everyone is okay at home, we hope. And for now we stop. We have maintained a commercial department working through home. So me, myself, my sister, our financial department, the people that can work at home are working from home. We are adapting ourselves a lot to this new situation. Unfortunately, most of the shops around Europe is closed. Spain has been hit hard, very, very hard from this virus. Spain has already increased their measures, so even all the industry stopped. I think Portugal benefited a lot from a lot of measurements that the government made, especially on the closing of the restaurants, the coffee shops, the bars. So mostly places of gathering. That was very important, and our epidemic curve is not as accentuated as Italy or Spain. So of course we are also a smaller country, so it's easier to try and control that. But I believe that they are doing good things for now. I think the latest stats is that I think about 200 people have died here, and comparing, of course, not even one death should happen, but comparing to Italy or Spain, it's much lower. Yeah. But like I told you, in terms of what we are doing ourselves, we are trying to reinvent a lot ourselves. We understood that part of the things could be done at home, and of course, most of our job now is trying to keep close contact with our clients. As you know, in our trajectory as a company, we have been transforming ourselves to a full package company. So yeah, so and we have done in the last this year and last year partnerships that allow us to produce garments all over the world, especially in Egypt and Bangladesh. So what we do, and our objective always is to elevate our know-how here. So we did partnerships on the areas that we don't have such a strong know-how, especially on the cut and sewing. So what we did was created a department with a sample pattern making, commercial department turned and especially to full product. And we started that part steady, small but steady, and we also do a lot made in Portugal for high value brands. And this also caught us in the middle of that, because if the factory is closed, we cannot do samples for the clients. We cannot give the proper. So we try always to explain why we did this. We could not, in good conscience, we as a family, as in charge of the company, we could not be in good conscience with a person that could be ill or could have suffer in the hospital or something because of our will to maintain work, you know. So we reacted very, very early. Once we knew that we could establish contingency plans, we prepared ourselves for those weeks that we were still in place to try understand with clients what could be done, what could be the effects of the virus. Of course, as you know, we work a lot for European market, and at the moment, Europe is going through a rough patch. Yesterday I read an article also that even in Germany, the one of their biggest department store has gone bankrupt. So this is an effect that you see a lot, and I think the US took, especially their politicians, took a little bit lightly this, and now they are suffering a lot more because this. I think that maybe people underestimate what this could do to all of us. Once we did, and once we saw, especially what happened in Italy, because Italy was hit very, very hard. Once we could, and we reacted really well. We took also in Portugal a lot of measurements that were told to us by Italy, because especially in hospitals, separating people, and all of those actions and small actions that can help mitigate the virus, but still it's uncertain. I think the whole world will change, my friend. Honestly, because I think this could be a good opportunity for even brands to reinvent themselves, and a lot of us that are here in the middle of the value chain, we are always the ones that suffer the most, because we don't have an online shop to continue to sell. Not even, of course, even the online sales has decreased a lot, but we are always stuck in the middle, depending of someone, and for us it's always very hard on how we should react, and we are always in this. My father always say that textile is we walking on a very narrow wall that we can either tip to one side or the other. So it's here. I think the wall has even decreased more, because it's really unpredictable. At the moment, our biggest client has their stores closed, Inditex. So mostly we are also checking with them how we can do. We are already prepared ourselves logistically to serve well the client when
It is over.
this pass, because as you know, throughout the years we prepared ourselves to respond really fast. This allows us to be able to deliver very fast. We have a system, especially within the tax, where we deliver in 3 days. So we have garments in stock in our facility in Portugal, and then we finish them and package it very quickly, especially to replace products that are already sold, or a new product, or a more elaborated product. We have ourselves already, one of the things that commercially we have done is also prepare ourselves logistically with our clients, to be able to deliver once this could pass. So right now, the important thing for us, and our development center is still figure out things, giving follow-ups of what we can do in terms of the theoretical processes, because as you know, the factory is closed, so we cannot do the practical. So what we are doing is we are following up on projects. So for example, as one of the things that we have developed is garment dye of polyester at low temperatures, and one of the things that has been asking from us. So we have managed to successfully done that, and now we are following up on the theoretical, so the process can be really well established, so it can be everything. So our teams still have meetings, but it's like you and me talking. We are in a meeting, and we are still talking with each other, understanding how it can be, how we can surpass this, and hopefully we will. But it's really unexpected, and especially since it has been a great year for us. We were really on a nice stage, and this made, I think, all of the people. I don't know much in terms of Asian Pacific. Maybe you can give me an insight on how do you see it, and how is affecting it there, so I can also understand a little bit.
I'm a little surprised because it seems that Asian countries are doing a little better than what European and North American, especially US, is doing, because probably they took, as Portugal, they took a lot of precautions. Japan, still things are working there. Shops are open. People are going to the markets. Some of the factories are open. Though, of course, they are closing down for a few days now. But other countries like Singapore or Thailand or Taiwan, which are very close to China, I think they are very well. Even Hong Kong.
From what we saw here, they give the good examples that they give to us are Hong Kong, Singapore, because the epidemic curve, Macau, they could control very well the epidemic curve. I also know that Japan is working, because we buy fabric from there, so so we know. I just talked with them yesterday, so I know that they are working. But what I've been read is that Cambodia, India also is installing some measurements.
We are in a lockdown for 3 weeks. It is a complete lockdown. No factories, no shops. Everything is closed all over India.
Yeah. I think it's one in our case, and what they say to us, because I know especially what the doctors and the specialists say, is that the lockdown is the best measurement that they can do, because it will help trying to mitigate
can control for a few weeks, then you manage it. I mean, if you are able to, and that's what the mistake probably some countries made probably.
Yeah, from our side, we see a lot that, and but it's like I told you, we try to be positive. In our case, we try always to be positive. We in our case also, I can only thank our workers, because it's not an easy situation when you have a job, you have to stay at home. It's People want to help, people want to do more, people want to work. It's normal. We also want that, but I think that we have to stay positive and stay strong, because otherwise it's really. But I think it will help. In the future, it will help us doing different things. I think people also are. I think this can open a door to other things. Can open a door to the dialogue of the real sustainability, not the greenwashing of the marketing that I think has been growing a lot this couple of years. Um,
In
I
what
think
way? What way do you think it will happen?
I think in especially in how you measure it, because it's I think it's the standards that are now today. I think they can be deceitful, because I know that there are a lot of people that have companies based on ZDHC or on other parameters. I think that the parameters that are based on the laws of each country are deceitful, because some laws can be more strict than others, and also I think that people don't are not looking well at the waste in terms of clothes. Um, the landfills and the amount of clothes that are destroyed every year, but you are still always producing more. I think people don't look as much as that, and they are focusing now, of course, on the sustainability of the fabric, the sustainability of the raw materials, on all those sustainabilities that we talk and that we see before the product is made. And I think that after the product is made, you still don't have a lot of possibilities to really create a green circle. I think this can also open a discussion for that, for other things. I think also one of the things that I always talk with people is, I think the producers and the manufacturers should have a stronger union, instead of looking ourselves as competitors or countries that compete ourselves, because in the end, my friend, we are always hostage of the brands, always.
And it's all about making it, because we are in competition with each other, trying to cut each other, trying to undercut.
Yeah, I think yes. So I think that if we could be more united, if we could understand each other more, if we could understand ourselves each other better, we could benefit ourselves in having a better standard, because I know that, of course, we have different views. We will always view different, because we have different cultures and we have different ways of seeing the world. But I think that this can help us, and this time, especially me, I'm like I told you in Portugal. Not every person is close. For example, I live with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend, she works on a company that is still working. So I'm these 3 weeks, and mostly I've been alone at home, and it gives you a lot of time to think, to introspect, and to think, and to try and figure out things from this bad thing that happened to us all. And I often wonder about how could it be if we, the producers and the manufacturers and the laundry houses and all the little guys, combine itself to
Unite. Somehow.
unite. Yeah, because I think, and I always wonder that ever more people from our side of the industry is doing a lot of things for our world. everyone wants to give better wages for their workers. Everyone wants to give better conditions to their workers. Everyone wants to be more sustainable. Every one of us wants to spend as less water, spend as less resources as possible to create nice things, to develop new things. And I believe there's also a side that is always taking that advantages that we are creating, and benefiting more from it. But I believe that if we can unite ourselves, if we can understand each other more, in one way, our project is the vision of different cultures, because we have a Portuguese, a very Latin mindset, and we are working with Egypt, we are working with Bangladesh, so we are working with Turkey, so it's different mindset, it's different things that we are combining, and our effort is not only to sell garments or to have clients, but our objective is to have the best project possible. So what we did is, me and my brother, we went to the field, we went to talk with the people, to understand, to see the factories, to see what suit us better for this partnership, what could be advantage, because we always try to understand the other side, and to have a more empathic vision, because otherwise you only, if in a partnership only one benefits, not a partnership, you know.
Absolutely.
So I think that we went to do this, we went deep in our organization to understand our difficulties, to understand what can be changed, and that's mostly also what we are doing now, because if we cannot work, of course, if we choose to be safe and to try and have the workers safe at home, we cannot stop. So we have to align ourselves together in a different ways and analyzing our business, analyzing how can we evolve, and how we can be in the future a better company, a better person, of course, at the end.
How do you think the current situation will change the working of the brands and retailers? I mean,
I
in terms,
think
yeah.
I think the brands will have to have a deeper understanding of the digital media, and especially on the digital e-commerce and all those things. I believe a lot on the e-commerce. I believe a lot on the digital platforms. I feel that the bigger ones and the big players of the market are already part of their platform very well established. But I think that ever more with this, they will see it, and they will see the importance of it. I think also the logistic involved in the business, I think it can be reevaluated. I think that also producers that are from Cambodia, from Bangladesh, from Vietnam will also be a little bit tougher in terms of the negotiations and the easiness that a brand can say, no, this happened, I don't want this product, I have to delay this, we have to let's speak in 1 month. I think that also on our side, this contact and this logistic relation will have its toll. I think it also can change, and I see it. I think I see this very clearly. Markets that are that can adapt themselves to other level of product and other types of product, and especially that can evolve to technical and the technical textile. I think will be the big winners of this future, because you see ever more the demanding of other types of business. You see the athleisure that grew enormously in this 5 to 7 years, and I see a lot of companies here in Portugal developing itself and being more vertical, developing is their own fabrics, of course, in terms of needs, not talking about denim, because in denim in Portugal is not produced for many years now. But I see the ones that could adapt themselves to technical needs, to technical textiles, to medical, to hospital kind of textiles with applications for the skin, for the,
Antimalarial, and health,
yeah.
for the applications for the health.
Yes, I think that, and I also think that from the part of the consumer, because we talk about the brands and the manufacturer, I think on part of the consumers it will change a little bit, because I believe people, with all this spending at home, I think the people will be even more alert, will want even more to know. And this also is a big opportunity for e-commerce, because right now supermarkets here are working via e-commerce, food delivery is working via e-commerce. So people that tend to be a little bit more resistant to e-commerce, to apps, to different things, can now be less resistance. I think that, and I think the brands, especially the ones that have room to understand in what stage they are, because what you see, of course, in the fast fashion, the volumes is the objective, to sell volumes, but you have a lot part of the market that it doesn't around about the volumes, and understands and arounds about the margins and all the things. And I think that those can also, if they can adapt themselves also to serve better, to have customization on an e-commerce platform, to have a little bit of a different thing, I think also can benefit from this.
So you mean the brick and mortar stores probably may not attract the customers as much as the e-commerce will?
Yeah, I think yes, because of course, I believe that once the people can leave their houses, they will want to go to a store. They will want, of course, that. But I'm talking about on the medium to long run.
Yeah.
I think parts of those markets that were resistant to e-commerce, I think this could be yes.
And what about the seasons? Do you think we are moving in terms of seasonless kind of situation?
Yes, I think that this was also already an effect that you could see on the last years. Instead of seasons, you see a more fluid kind of presentations. Instead of being called the season, winter season, or fall, or spring, or summer, you kind of see a flow, and you see variances that you couldn't see in other places. So, for example, once you realize that in winter you sell, or the darker colors are more sell. You see, and we saw a lot on this last winter in terms of denim. The sky bleaches, the blues, light blues were selling a lot. So this kind of gets mixed up all a little bit. I think that that ever more that will happen. I think that this speed that we are seeing in terms of presenting a collection, a spring or a summer, wait and see how it evolves, go into sales, do a new collection, present a new collection. I think this speed will always be more narrow, more decreased. Yeah.
Yeah, because also the brands and retailers would want to be safer. They would not like to keep too much of long bookings. They would like to have
Yes,
shorter bookings and
yes, yes, yes.
maybe nearshoring. I mean, maybe they would like to have more.
Maybe I think we see with this project we saw a lot of brands that wanted to have production closer to their facilities. In our case, we always adapt ourselves in our trajectory as a company, even on services, of course, on the laundry and on the finishing and on the packaging, and also to be a support for the nearshoring. We always know that the higher volumes, the higher quantities will always and will maintain themselves in other countries. So what we did because we know that in terms of price we cannot compete, we compete through logistics and through a differentiation and to give a different product. So that's our way to compete because we know ourselves and we know the market. So with this new project that we presented to people, we saw some of the brands wanting the part of the production closer to their facility. I think that it can happen more. It can also value markets like Tunisia, like Morocco, like the Eastern Europe, with Romania, with other countries that have a cost structure lower and all similar to Asian countries, but can have a differentiation because also they are very near Italy, they are very near Spain, they are very near Portugal, they are very near Germany. So I think it can also have an impact on that.
I think so. And in terms of uh, uh, categories, do you think category like because so many people are going to spend already spending and maybe over next 1 year or 2 years, a lot of people will be spending time at home. So homeware category is a category which the brands will
Yeah.
look to cater to more to.
I don't know if you know, but we work a lot for IKEA and for Zara Home.
Okay.
So for us, it's a market that is growing. Portugal has been very successful for home textile. We have clients that have different kinds of levels in terms of price, in terms of types of product. So what we see ever more is that the home textile is growing in terms of importance for the people because they are also evolving as a product. So you see, especially on the textiles, on carpets, rugs, on bed sheets, bedspreads, you see that the brands and the clients are choosing and are seeing more as we see the clothes now. For example, on the old days, I think 10, 20, 15 years ago, you'd see a lot of t-shirts. You'd see the t-shirts dyed in fabric. You see a lot of the same colors and a lot of quantities. That was the way of the home textile. And now you see less quantities in terms of more options in terms of color, more options in terms of raw materials. They are adapting a lot the raw materials. We are working with wool. We are working with mixes of cotton with other raw materials. We are adapting ourselves, for example, in terms of non-slippage. We are adapting ourselves as well on the digital printing. So we see a lot of different offers for the home textile. And the objective, I think, from on their side, you see a lot of degradé effects, you see a lot of fade out effects, you see a lot of different effects and different draws. And also, I think people are also, the consumer is more open to that. in I think the way that you see the what we call the aggressiveness on denim, that you see that it can be very low washes, low destroyers, or you can see when it changes a lot for destroyers, for patchwork, for other things. You start to see that variation on home textile in terms of colors and in terms of effects on the tie dyes, on the deep dyes, on the degradés, on all those things. And I think people are also more open to that because, especially in Portugal, since IKEA brought the possibility of we can have a lot of different furniture at an affordable price, people started to turn their attention more on how can they make also their house beautiful. And I think that effect that started on the furniture itself, on the tables, different things, translated to the textile part of the home or home textile.
Of course. And what do you think are the biggest positives from this situation? This situation is unfortunate, but what are the biggest positives which are coming out?
I think that the ability to stop and analyze your business, analyze the market in a situation that is not good for anyone. So you see, you have the brands, they're in a place that nobody wants to be. Shops closed. You see the manufacturers that by government law or not have to stay at home, but has to stop, so they can also not sell. And you have also the whole value chain that depends on both of that, also in a place that nobody wants to be. So I think that if there's any good about this is the ability that people have to stop and try to reinvent, try to understand, because this was a scenario that until 1 month ago in Europe or 2 months ago in Europe, nobody would imagine that. Nobody. So I think that these scenarios where we think, oh no, this will not happen in the future, it might. It might. So I think that the best if there's any good of this is, I think, is this, is the ability of analyzing yourself, the company and the market in a status that nobody wants to be. And I think that is the best thing.
Absolutely. And one more last question to you.
Yeah, of course.
Many retailers are on the verge of probably closing down. Many brands, we might see many of them going bankrupt, as you already told me. And on the other side, from the supply chain side, we might see many manufacturers also closing down who are not, so financially strong. So ultimately, we're looking at reduction in the buying capacity, and we're looking at reduction in the selling capacity. So
I didn't understand. Sorry, I didn't understand.
I'm saying we are looking at reduction in the buying capacity because some of the brands and retailers are going down. And
Yes.
on the other hand, we are looking at some reduction in supply capacity because some manufacturers might also close down.
Yes.
So, I mean, ultimately, what it will be a rebalancing of how it will rebalance the whole chain, I would say.
I think what the last crisis taught us is that the bigger stay stronger, the smaller they don't normally survive. I believe that in terms of this equilibrium that we can see it, or how I can say it, I think it will be very tough for most of us. But I believe that the biggest players in whatever market they are inserted will be the ones benefiting the most, because like you said, in every country you will see people that will maintain and people that will close. I believe that if you stay and if you have the ability to endure this time, it can be very beneficial for you in the future, because a lot of the people that you see, and you have that in every country. In every country, we see that a lot in Portugal when you say and when you have a structure that produces a garment but want to have minimal margin or a lower margin, that it will endure in the good times. On the bad times, it will not endure because it doesn't have the capacity to sustain itself. So I believe that also that it will give an equilibrium to the market itself, because I believe that brands will also have to be more aware that they cannot squeeze margins of the producers, because like this is showing us, is that nobody's safe. Nobody's safe.
Absolutely. But I really hope, and we all really hope that next, well, let's say within 1 or 2 months, we can come back to normal in some way.
Yes.
Even if we have to take precautions, we need to be safer in the workplace, but at least we start working properly.
Yes, yes, we all believe that. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best.
Thank you, Vasco. Thank you. It's
Uh,
a pleasure speaking to you as always.
My
And
friend, as
we hope
always.
we meet physically soon, because
Yes.
now you really miss it, now you really miss it,
Me too, my friend. Me too. I hope we see you again soon.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye
Vasco.
bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
So, thank you so much, everybody. And I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you and bye-bye.